Welcome to the Positive Gene Podcast. My name is Sara Kavanaugh. This is a podcast empowering cancer previvors and survivors, like myself, over our hereditary cancer risk. I started this podcast because I had so many questions after receiving my genetic testing results and not only wanted, but needed to truly understand what it meant to have an inherited cancer mutation. We will discuss important topics from a patient perspective, like finding credible online resources, opportunities connecting with others for support, and building your medical team, and so much more. Thank you for allowing me to use my God-given talent for talking, researching, and all things communications. We're all in this together, and I'm so thankful for your support. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Positive Gene Podcast. I'm your host, Sara Kavanaugh. As we observe National Caregivers Month, a time dedicated to honoring the immense contributions of caregivers, we're taking a moment in today's episode to focus on a crucial, often overlooked perspective in our journey as previvors and survivors. We are exploring how we can support our caregivers, those who stand steadfastly by our side, especially during the challenging time of screenings and test results. Also, I'm recording this on Thanksgiving week, so it's a fitting tribute to the dedication and love that they show us every single day. So, picture this. You're anxious about an upcoming screening. Let's say it's a colonoscopy, an all too familiar experience for those of us with Lynch syndrome. In fact, if you're a Lynchy like me, or someone close to you has Lynch, you'll know the screening process involves not only an annual or biennial visit to your gastroenterologist, but we are also seeing a dermatologist, ophthalmologist, breast specialist, gynecologist, oncologist, and a urologist. Now, all may not be required for all mutations, but in general, most of us are visiting these specialists at least once a year or every other year, depending on your mutation. Now, back to our scene. You're dreading the uncomfortable prep, and on top of that, you're wrestling with anxiety, worry, and fear about the procedure and potential outcomes. What if they find something? What will I do? This stress, or scanxiety, as it's often called, isn't contained. In fact, it spills over, affecting your partner, children, or friends in subtle ways. Perhaps you're more irritable than usual, snapping at the smallest inconveniences. Or maybe you're withdrawn, lost in your own thoughts, and leaving your partner maybe feeling isolated or helpless in supporting you. Your children may pick up on this tense atmosphere, becoming anxious and upset themselves without really fully understanding why. And friends may notice your preoccupation and distance, unsure how to offer support. It's in these subtle shifts in your behavior and mood that can change the dynamics in your home, making everyone's life a bit more challenging. Now, they may want to help, but they may not know how, especially when your focus is so consumed by the upcoming screening or tests. Now, pause for a moment. Think about your caregiver in this scenario. The upcoming screening understandably consumes your mind, but they're juggling their worries and responsibilities as well. And it's a shared burden, yet experienced differently by each of you. And family caregivers play an integral role in our journey, often undertaking tasks and emotional burdens that often go unseen. From coordinating appointments to managing the household when we're not available, or perhaps, I know this happens for me, is when you're just not in the right mindset to take on daily tasks, their support can be invaluable. Medical appointments, especially for procedures like colonoscopies or MRIs that often require logistical support. They may have to take time off of work, drive us to and from appointments, and then, of course, offer emotional support during these stressful times. So acknowledging and appreciating those efforts, it goes a long way in showing our gratitude. It's not just about the tasks they perform, it's about the emotional labor they undertake. As previvors and survivors, it's our turn to understand and support them in their journey alongside us. And this aspect becomes increasingly significant for those of us with hereditary cancer syndromes, as we face a lifetime dotted with far more screenings and tests than the average person. These aren't just medical appointments. They're emotional landmarks, each carrying its own weight of anticipation, anxiety, relief, or concern. Now, currently, my husband and I are in the early stages of this journey. It's a path that, while new to us, is set to be a constant in our lives. The frequency of these screenings can feel overwhelming, not just for me, but for him as well. And he's not just accompanying me to appointments, but he's navigating this new normal where vigilance is key and uncertainty a frequent companion. Together, we are learning to balance this reality, recognizing that the emotional toll extends beyond the person undergoing the tests. Again, it's a shared experience and one that requires mutual understanding, patience, and support. As we embark on this continuous path of vigilance, our approach to handling the emotional aspects of these screenings is evolving. We're learning to communicate more openly about our fears and hopes, and to find strength in our shared resilience. For anyone embarking on a similar journey, remember that while screenings are routine, our emotional journey is deeply personal and requires its own form of care and attention. So, what are some practical tips for easing caregivers' burdens? As previvors and survivors, we can contribute by easing our caregivers' burdens. This might include organizing our medical information for them, or being proactive with household tasks before a scheduled procedure, or even taking on or finding support for small responsibilities to give them a breather. It's about creating a balance where both parties feel supported and valued. Promoting caregiver self-care is another aspect we shouldn't overlook. Caregivers often put their health and well-being on the back burner while focusing on ours. Now, I have a close friend who's cared for her mother with breast cancer for the last year, and it's been tough to watch from a distance since she had to put her life on hold to care for her mother. But you know what? It's okay. Her purpose in giving her mother the dedication over the last year enabled her and her children to grow closer than ever to their grandmother. Now it's looking for those silver linings in an otherwise difficult situation. And we checked in often and sent gentle reminders to make sure she was taking care of herself. So throughout these experiences, we need to encourage and support caregivers' well-being just as they support ours. Now, communication is vital in any relationship, and it's no different with our caregivers. For instance, during a tense period of waiting for test results, understanding each other's emotional needs can make a significant difference. So ask them what they need. Is it space to process their emotions, or is it more direct involvement in our medical journey? And in the midst of this, it might be hard to express precisely what you, the previvor or survivor, may need from them, your caregiver. But sometimes a simple acknowledgement can make a world of difference. So as a previvor or a survivor, consider saying something like, I know I'm really consumed by this procedure and the anxiety it brings. I may not know exactly how to tell you what I need, but knowing you're here is a tremendous support. In fact, this is a good time to share something that my husband often does, and it's providing distraction in addition to the emotional support during the waiting periods for test results. Now, whether that's planning a family outing or just spending quality time together, playing games with our kids, or an evening out, these actions, though simple, can significantly alleviate the stress and anxiety associated with medical uncertainty. It's these small acts of kindness and understanding that make a huge difference in our journey. So in conclusion, our journey has moments of fear, anxiety, and uncertainty. Still, there are also moments of incredible support, understanding, and love. These experiences, shared by the caregiver and the cared for, weave the fabric of our unique stories. It's essential to remember that this journey is not a solitary one. It's a shared path where empathy, understanding, and mutual support are key. So, to all caregivers, know that your efforts are seen, your sacrifices are acknowledged, and your love is deeply appreciated. And to my fellow previvors and survivors, let's ensure we do our part in supporting those who support us. It's about giving back, showing appreciation, and building a partnership that navigates the complexities of our journey together. In fact, speaking of appreciation, Harvard Health says, in positive psychology research, gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. And it further states, gratitude helps people refocus on what they have instead of what they lack. And although it may feel contrived at first, This mental state grows stronger with use and practice. If you want to read more on this topic about how giving thanks can make you happier from Harvard Health this upcoming Thanksgiving season, I'll leave the link in the show notes. As we wrap up today's episode, I encourage you to reflect on your relationships with your caregivers. Think of small ways you can show your appreciation and support. A simple thank you, helping out with a task, or just spending quality time together can make a difference. Now, for me, this episode is one way to recognize those who've supported me over the last year. My husband, Nick, my siblings and their spouses for being here following surgeries and their continued notes of encouragement, my friends and neighbors who've checked in and brought meals and continue to support me by listening to my podcast. You're all amazing, and I love each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me on the Positive Gene podcast. Your stories, your struggles, and your triumphs inspire each episode. If you have any experiences or tips you'd like to share, or want more information and resources, please reach out. You can find additional support and details on my website at sarakavanaugh.com or on Instagram at Positive Gene Podcast. Let's continue to build this community of support, understanding, and hope. And remember to subscribe for more episodes where we explore the powering journey of being hereditary cancer previvors and survivors together with our incredible caregivers. You can find more information at Caregiver Action Network's website at caregiveraction.org. If you are a survivor or caring for a survivor, the National Cancer Institute's support for caregivers of cancer patients is an excellent resource for coping with caregiving, taking care of yourself, and even long-distance caregiving tips. I'll have the links provided in the show notes. As we close on this National Caregivers Month and Thanksgiving special episode, let's remember to show gratitude to those who care for us. Here's to our health, happiness, and the positive support we give and receive. Thank you for spending time with me on the Positive Gene podcast. Your support means everything. If you found value in today's episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast. It truly makes a difference. For an in-depth look and links to resources discussed today, check out the accompanying blog on my website at sarakavanaugh.com. Until next time, stay empowered and remember, you are not alone on this journey.